Welcome back to the podcast. This time out on the podcast, I'm speaking to Scottish singer-songwriter Nati Dread. After bursting onto the Scottish folk scene in 2020, becoming a massive TikTok star, Nati's career has completely took off, partly due to her positive attitude and, more importantly, down to her massive talent. Nati is due to release the lead single from her new EP. Heard It All Before is out on the 12th of July, and that comes from the Golden EP, which will be released throughout the year. We spoke about her whirlwind career and what she's got coming up next, and as usual, Nati picked her heroes. I hope you all enjoy the podcast. Please keep liking, commenting, sharing and subscribing wherever you can, but more importantly, enjoy. If you stay. On the podcast today, I've got Nati Dread, a Scottish singer-songwriter, major TikTok star as well, and we're going to talk about how her career started and where it's at now and where it's going in the future. So what I like to do at the start, just take us back to a young Nati growing up, what life was like for you and how that got you into music.
So there was always music in my house, like always music playing. We're a very, very music loving family. Nobody really played anything, but we just loved listening to it. And I remember it was very sort of soul, rhythm and blues, rock and roll, and then a lot of Scottish traditional stuff as well. But I do remember, I remember the exact moment where my brain went, oh, this is going to be really important in my life. And it was, I was only a wee young thing. I think I can't even mind. I was under 10 anyway. It was summertime. My dad was out in the garden doing something, and he just sat me in the living room and he put on U2's live album Rattle and Hum, and he put on Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For. And at the end of it, it's like this swelling of a gospel choir. Mm-hmm. And he said, just sit down, shut your eyes and listen. Right. And he went out and he pottered away in the garden. And I remember it was the first time ever in my life that music actually made me emotional. And obviously I'm a bear and I don't understand why I'm crying at a song. And that was the moment where I was like, this is going to be a huge part of my life. It just is. And that's about the extent of where it started, really. And then I was always a singer. I always sang against everybody's will. I would sing on buses. I would sing in cars. I think I was about to get enrolled into nursery, right? And my sister was doing this talent show. She was a couple of years above me. And I says to my dad, I was like, I want to sing. And my dad's like, you can't. You're not even enrolled into the school yet. And I was like, I want to sing. And of course, I get up on stage. I'm like, twinkle, twinkle. So that was that. And then my Uncle Tam gave me this hand-me-down acoustic guitar. And that was it. As soon as I learned how to basically read tablature a wee bit, that was it. And then he gave me a Newton Faulkner CD, and then that was me away.
Right. And what age would that be when he gave you that CD?
Oh God. So I started playing guitar when I was 11, and the Newton Faulkners album came out in 2000 and... Oh, no, you're asking. Christ, how old was I? I was sort of mid to maybe teetering on late teens. Right. And as soon as I heard him, I was like, that made me pick up a guitar properly and actually start playing it. Because before I was just like, and just kind of like farting about with it. And then I heard his music and I went, no, I want to actually incorporate this in what I do. Changed my life, totally changed my life. And I nearly broke my wrist trying to do all the percussive stuff that he did.
It's to think, like now, where you're at in the relationship you've got with Newton Faulkner for listening to that CD, that story's kind of mind blowing. Obviously, we'll kind of touch on that as we go through. So, other than Newton Faulkner, what sort of music were you into then?
Oh, I was into all sorts. Like, I loved the Drifters. I loved the Drifters. I'd listen to, that sort of on the roof. I loved that. Wilson Pickett, Stevie Wonder, Guns N' Roses, Prince, Michael Jackson, and then, of course, I was a teenage lassie, so Busted and McFly are obviously in there. And Newton Faulkner, of course. And then as I got older, Pink, because I just admired her showmanship and her amazing voice. And then Lady Gaga came about, and that was me. But musical influence wise, I'm influenced by everything, but it was heavy on the sort of soul and rock and roll and a bit of traditional when I grew up.
And like jobs, education and jobs, stuff like that. What was the plan there? Was there a route for you to go down, or was it always music that you wanted to do?
So I was raised in a very sort of realistic household. So my mum and dad, my dad's a bit of a free spirit. He's like, oh, music and go what you feel. And he's pretty chilled and laid back. But my mum's a worrier. So she's like, do the music, but have something to fall back on, which is totally fair. And for me, I was either going to be an English teacher, because English was one of my favourite subjects in school. And then that kind of fell through because I ended up studying theatre instead. I did that for a bit, and then you're going to laugh because it's a total 180. I was going to be an English teacher, then I was going to be doing theatre and stuff and trying to go somewhere with that. And then just before lockdown hit, I was actually ready to go and train to be a funeral director. It's dead joyful and it completely makes sense, right? But I always had ways to make money. So I always had a wee 9 to 5 going on. And then I would just do shows, like wee cabaret shows and the odd wedding here and there. But I'll be really honest with you, there was a point where I got to a certain age where I was like, right, okay, this is going to be a hobby and nothing more. And I was fine with that. I thought it was just a pipe dream. And I was just gonna do whatever job came my way, to be honest with you. And then of course lockdown hit and here we are.
Right. Well, so in lockdown then, is that when you started kind of the TikTok stuff?
Aye. So lockdown started, right? And I worked in a phone shop at the time. So we were meant to stay open because we were communications and we were classed as essential. But because of how close we were to everyone and we're touching their phones and everything, we got shut down for what we all assumed would be 4 weeks, and it ended up being much longer. And then everybody was either buying a hot tub or on TikTok. Do you mind? And I was like, well, I've not got a garden. So I got TikTok and I saw Obdi, Ken, you're doing you can't see it right now if you're listening, but I'm doing an amazing dance, Martin will tell you. They were all doing your dance, and I thought, well, I can't dance and I can't lip sync, but I can fair sing, so I'll pop some tunes up. And then I think I did a song from Brave, and it went really, really well. And then I started singing traditional Scottish music, and I think it was, I don't know why people took to it so well. I mean, I'm thankful that they did. And then people noticed that when I was singing with my accent still intact. And then it just took over for there. And I was like, let's see how this goes. And I've been seeing how it goes ever since.
Yeah, well, it's like looking through your career, how kind of, if you look at lockdown, it's not that far away, and how you've kind of exploded in that time. Obviously, I was looking back at, I was looking back on Instagram because I'm no into TikTok. I think I'm too old for TikTok.
I'll wait.
But the first one you done, Sam Cooke, to put that up there as your first one, like it's a brilliant start. But then it means you need to kind of continue with that sort of form. But you seem to have built up the TikTok. If I'm right, I think you're up to about 2 million followers. Is that right?
It's crazy.
That's amazing. How do you keep in touch with all these people?
So during lockdown, it was easy because we had nothing better to do, did we? So, everybody was making bread or I was learning how to make ratatouille, and I think I done a fair job. But you had more time on your hands, so you were able to sit and reply to everybody and say, "Thank you, you're the best." No, you're the best, and it's easier that way. But I've always been. I don't know if you can tell, but I love chit chatting, and I love talking to people online and on like off stage and at gigs and stuff. And I've always been that kind of personality, so it's easy for me to just connect with people. And I think that's one of the more important things about doing this as a job, is you have to have a strong connection with people who listen to you. And the way I keep up, honestly, is just, it's not a sense of like I post something and then I bugger off. I post something and then I stick around and I chat with folk and I go live, and I'm very conversational in what I put in the pictures and videos, and I'm listening all the time and I'm learning new things. So keeping up is kind of second nature at this point. And of course, we've always got our phones in our hands, so I'm seeing it all day, every day, so it's easy to just respond. It's a bit more difficult now because I'm more busy, but it's just second nature.
Right. So what would you say on TikTok? What would you say the pros and cons of it? Because again, I'm not familiar with it, so I don't know. People keep telling me that you should be on TikTok, but I don't know. What do you reckon?
The pros and well, I mean, as somebody who just watches TikTok, the pros are you're getting loads of short form content, and if you interact with it, it tends to tailor your little page to what you like. And it's just endless entertainment. The con would be maybe it's too entertaining, and then you're sat there for 45 minutes going, where did all the time go? And then as someone who is a creator on TikTok, the pros would be it's a fantastic place to advertise what you do. And that could be anything. I'm not just talking about music. So it's a fantastic place to connect with your audience and advertise your product in your own way. You're not tied down by somebody going, you have to do it this way. And the cons would be sometimes the algorithm and the analytics will dip. So 1 minute you'll spend ages making this video and it won't do very well. And then you'll post a 10-second video of you, I don't know, washing your windows, and it will get millions and millions of views. So it's difficult to understand the algorithm. That's a con. But the pros are endless. Like, you know, that it can take you places. There's loads of lovely people. Like I said, it's great for advertising, and it's good if you're in control of it. You feel like you are in control of it. There's nobody telling you what to do. So yeah, and if you fancy a giggle, or you're like me and you just want to see animals doing funny stuff, then it's class. So you should definitely get one.
Yeah, I will look into it because people are always on my case about it. You should put the podcast on TikTok and all that. I feel like an old man.
No, definitely. People who have podcasts will tend to post little bite-sized bits of it to entice folk to go to wherever it is that you listen to the full thing. And it really works. The amount of podcasts I've discovered on TikTok I couldn't count them all. So definitely, it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, it's definitely something I'll check out. So obviously, TikTok was kind of where the connection with Newton Faulkner really kind of cemented itself. For the listeners that don't know, do you want to tell us how that kind of happened?
Yes. So, like I said, he was the reason that I picked up a guitar. And I remember, you know, going through many a heartache and bad time and good time with those albums. I remember going to his concert with my uncle, who gave me my first guitar and gave me those CDs. And I think that was around about the time the Write It On Your Skin album had come out. And just being in absolute awe. I was just stood there like that. And I went to see him countless times. He was like my hero. And so for ages, I kept telling my audience on TikTok, oh, he's one of my biggest inspirations. But I realised, Christ, I've never actually sang one of his songs. So Dream Catch Me is like globally beloved. So I thought I'll do that one. Everybody knows that one. Sang it, bish bash bosh. A couple of weeks later, I'm sat at my 9 to 5 job, because at this point the world had slowly started to open up again. And I get this notification saying Newton Faulkner has duetted you. And I was like, eh? I didn't know that he was on TikTok. And so I say to my customer, I'm like, could you just excuse me for a wee minute, hen? And I go through the back. I watched me singing Dream Catch Me. There's my wee face there. And then his face pops up and starts singing with me. And I tell this story every time. It's absolutely true. I locked my phone, I threw it across the room, and I was like, I can't watch that now because I can't keep the heat at my work. And I went home on my break and I just burst out greeting. And then from there, his manager got in touch with me and said, oh, he's doing an online version of a concert because live music hasn't opened up again. Would you like to sing with him do you want to sing Dream Catch Me on the show? And I was like, me just sliding down my door trying to act cool, like, yes, that would be an honour, try to be dead professional. So I did that, and then this manager of his said, you know, you're quite good. And I said, cheers. And you've built up a following. And I said, cheers. And she says, I sound like a sweetie wifey, didn't I? She says, and she says, she's like, do you want to maybe give this a bash, this music thing? I said, aye. And so she goes, that online concert he did, would you like to do one of your own? And I says, aye. I'm dead conscious of the way I'm saying. And then he came and sang on that. And that online concert, fortunately, I'm so grateful. People responded to that online concert so well that I was able to quit my 9-to-5 job and buy my dream guitar. But in the middle of that show, Newton said, do you want to go on tour with me? And I nearly peed myself. And then after that, the person who manages Newton Faulkners said, hey, do you have a manager? I says, at my work, aye. She says, no. Would you? And she just took me under her wing. So now his manager is also my manager. And I went on tour with him. I think I've toured with him 3 times now. And it's really mad to, when people ask me about this, I never get a chance to sit and think about it properly. But now that I'm talking about it and thinking about it, it is mental. It's like a fairy tale come true. You know, you watch this guy on stage and he inspires you so much. And then you're singing a Christmas song with him on the BBC, and you're like, how did we get from there to there? So that's kind of the story.
Yeah, it's mental. Have you had any arguments with him as such? That's when you know you get a proper relationship, once you've told him to fuck off or something like that.
Not yet. The only thing we'll probably argue about is TV shows or characters or something like that. But we haven't argued yet. But you know, it's just the way that's the thing about him though. Like, you couldn't even. I reckon you can't even get him annoyed, because you see that, like, he's so chill. Like, I constantly say, like, he's like training me to be a Jedi, and I'm in like the like Padawan Academy. That's me being trained now to be a Jedi. And he's so, you know, that like chill, down to earth, funny, relaxed, talented dude that you see on stage. Do you want to know the most annoying part about him? That's exactly what it's like off stage as well. He's so sound and so lovely. You can't argue him. It's infuriating.
So yesterday, I was doing a bit of research on you, and I watched you on another podcast, the Songwriters Lounge. So I thought that was really good. Obviously, we were talking about your debut single, Apocalypse, and kind of the story how that was wrote. So I'm taking it for what you said today, that you were working in this phone shop at the time when you kind of had enough and thought that you're going to take the music seriously. The lyrics in it are beautiful. I think it's a cracking debut song. And obviously they were talking on that about how you kind of sang in a kind of American accent on that first single. Looking at some of your videos that you've done, like cover versions and stuff, you've covered Alanis Morissette a couple of times. In that debut single, when it starts off, that's who I thought of straight away was Alanis Morissette.
That's that makes me so happy. Sorry, continue. I'm just having a wee moment here.
Well, I kind of thought, because before I'd seen that you'd done the covers, I thought, I wonder if she likes Alanis Morissette, and then obviously I've seen you'd done a couple of covers. So was she a kind of inspiration then? I'm taking it she was.
Oh man, like you wouldn't believe. Like I Jagged Little Pill, was it, remember the wee Walkmans you used to have? Right? After cassette tapes we had Walkmans, right? And they were this big sort of, well, disc shaped. And it wouldn't fit in any of my pockets. So I used to pin it in the hood of my jacket, and then I would just put the wee headphones on top. And I was there, like, just everything's quiet and it's a lovely Scottish morning and I'm walking to school, but in my head is like, but I'm here to remind you. I was just angry. I'd not to be angry at. I was a child, but I was angry at someone, and she invoked that in me. And it's funny you say that, because the music that I'm putting out now, this new set of tunes that I'm going to be putting out soon, that's kind of how genres are a tricky thing to talk about, and I think genres are kind of going out the window nowadays, which I'm thrilled about, because you didn't box yourself in. But when I talk about the kind of music that I make, it's like electric guitar, angry lassie for the 90s, and that's very Alanis Morissette. So I think I've subconsciously maybe been inspired by her when it comes to the sort of bigger sound that I'm doing now. But it's really sweet that you say that about Apocalypse, because I was working in a phone shop, but the song wasn't about the phone shop. It was about a job I had before that,
Right.
that I just did not like. And I just remember that there's a line, I think it's the smoke, it lingers on my fingertips. It's calling me, pleading me back to the sound of the hardened strings and the ripped out lungs that I've left behind in memory. God, it sounds right. Sounds right pretentious when you just say it like that, don't you? My art, yes, my poetry. No, but that line is basically me saying I've still got smoke lingering on my fingers from when I once used to play guitar and really enjoy music. And that feeling of the hard strings and the ripped out lungs when I sang my heart out, I knew it's gone, because I've lost my colour. I've lost my passion for everything, because this job has just punched it out of me. And that was the thing, like, I'm longing to do that again. I'm longing. There'd be times where I'd pick up the guitar to sing and I'd be like, oh, I just can't be arsed, because I was that sort of weighed down by everything. And I think everybody's experienced a job like that at some point or another. So I think that's why it was received so well, because it is so relatable. You're like, I'm in that right now and I'm raging, or I've been there and I was raging. So yeah, it's one of my favourite songs I've ever written, and it's got that kind of, with the rhythm of the it's very soul. It's very inspired by a lot of soul music that I listen to, and it's one of my favourite things I've ever done, because I just get to be raging on stage for about 3 minutes.
So after kind of singing like that, was kind of you very quickly went back to the Scottish accent. So
Aye.
did it feel more natural singing in your own accent?
Aye, because everybody who sings, for whatever reason, we universally sing in a kind of American twang. I've not figured out the answer to that yet. People say it's because we consume so much American media and American music that it's just natural. And a lot of people do it. So I was no different. And then when I started on TikTok, I was singing a lot of Scottish songs. I was singing the choruses in that. And I'm like, well, you have to sing that in your own accent or it's not going to make sense. Like, you can't say the word gonna or dinna in an American accent. So I had to, and I just felt so much more comfortable. But I mind years and years and years ago, folk would rip the piss when I sang in my accent. And of course, I was young and I was being picked on, so I changed it and I made it American. Then when I started singing all these Scottish songs, I was like, I have to sing in my accent. And I says, well, why am I not singing in my accent? And then that was it. From then on, I said, aye, stuff you, you're getting my accent, whether you like it or not.
Well, around about that time, like kind of the noughties, you had kind of a lot of Scottish acts. You had Amy McDonald, obviously, you had The View in Las Vegas and all that, and they all kind of were singing in their own accents. A lot of the time with the View, for instance, they get subtitled whenever Kyle was speaking because nobody could understand him. But it
Which
became
is terrible. It's terrible that they have to do that.
or even Paolo Nutini as well. A lot of the time with Paolo, it was more because he was drunk that you couldn't understand half of it he was saying. But it's became kind of, I think for that time onwards, people have kind of been like, no, we're proud of our Scottish roots and that's how we'll go.
Absolutely.
Obviously, you had the debut single, then you had another couple of singles. You did some work where you were doing like some traditional Scottish as well with other artists as well. But we've not got all day to kind of cover it all. So once we came out of lockdown, pretty early on, you had this tour with Newton Faulkner, September, October. That's round about when everything opened up, wasn't it? Because I think I went to see Billy Bragg at the Barrowlands. I think that was the first gig I went to see.
Oh.
So I Newton Faulkner tour, and you also went and toured with Tidelines as well. So was this kind of like your first kind of major gigs
Aye.
for being just singing into a camera and posting it on TikTok to then be out on stage? What was that? What was it feeling like? Kind of progressing to that?
God, I felt like my soul was going to drop out my. Do you know what? I can't say that. I was very overwhelmed. So basically, right, I did cabaret shows once a month, right, and it was people. It was like aerial, hoop artists, pole dancers, jugglers, comedians, poets, all walks of life, right, and that wee mad cabaret crew were the people that got me comfortable on stage for the very first time. So, but I was only doing it once a month, and it was Tidelines that I toured with first, and it was just a wee tour because again I covered Far Side of the World. The American population really enjoyed it. They caught wind, they duetted it, and they said, "Do you want to go on tour with us?" That seems to be my formula. I'm just going to start singing everybody's songs, see if they like me. So anyway, I did a wee tour with them, and the first show was King Tut's in Glasgow. And that was the first time I took to the stage as like Nati, right? Known as Natalie for Fife. So it's the first time I took to the stage as Nati, and I was keeking my drawers. It was really hot. King Tut's is small and hot, and the floors are sticky, and the sweat's pouring off me. And that was when I realised that I was allowed to talk to the crowd. I'd never, because when you do theatre and that, you're not meant to talk to the audience, you're meant to just act. And I was like, here, I'm allowed to talk to yous. And that was me. I became more comfortable on stage after I broke that barrier. But Tidelines, like, I've said it before and I'll say it again, I've always been a huge fan of them, but more sort of emotionally speaking now, I'll always be indebted to them and I'll always be grateful to them because they were the ones that put me on a big stage in a touring capacity where people were coming to see me as an artist, if you like, for the very first time. And I'll never forget that. I'll always be grateful to those boys for choosing me and giving me that opportunity to do it for the first time. But yeah, King Tut's was there, and then I toured with them, then I toured with Newton Faulkner, and I tell you what, touring's hard, eh? You're just tired all the time. It's loads of fun. I love it. But I did not expect to be that tired all the time. I'm used to it now, kind of. But the first time I just got chucked in the deep end and it was great. But by the end of it, I was like, I just want my bed for like 7 days straight.
But that's the thing, like from the gigs, you just seem to never stopped. Like,
oh no.
Looking at like 2022, started playing festivals. You played Northern Kin Festival. You did the Tyree Music Festival, the Cambridge Folk Festival. You also support that Hamish Hawk, yourself and Leanne Downey and Hamish Hawk on a gig together, which kind of probably 2022, they two were just breaking through as well. So what was it like kind of working with two up and coming stars? I seen Hamish Hawk last year maybe at St. Luke's, and that's a massive talent. And then you look at what Rihanna's doing now, singing with Paul Heaton. That it could be you next doing something like that.
Honestly, like I supported Hamish at these little library shows, and he had said before he started playing his first song that this was a stripped back version of what he usually does because it was in a library, so it was a smaller stage. And I was like, okay, but even though it was stripped back, and even though he was kind of holding back because the stage was a little bit smaller, it was still like an explosive show. I don't know how he managed to do it because you've seen him in St. Luke's, so you've seen the full capacity,
He's
right?
so intense. Like see when I see it because I'd never seen him before, and seen him in St. Luke's. I was kind of like in the middle of the crowd, but see his eyes when he's performing, and he's looking. I felt like he was looking just at me, and like it was
Oh,
freaking me out. I thought I don't want to look away. But I thought he can't. He must have been doing it to
oh,
everybody. But it's really really intense.
I
Never
can
seen him like
sympathise with
that.
that. I can totally sympathise with that because I'm a dead like stary performer as well. But when I played St. Luke's, you can't really do it to everybody because they're all up there and down here. But you get dead like you just focus on one person, but no long enough so that it creeps them out. But no, so I saw his show and it was like the stripped back version, but you can still feel the sense of how big his shows usually are. And I was blown away. And the way he sings and the way he writes is so poetic. Like, do you know, I think? And then with Rianne, I met her again at library shows, and I just remember her bouncing through the room, and she had this overall hang on that was just covered in sunflowers, and I was like, "Oh, she's cute as a button. Who's this?" And then she had this like deep brown guitar. She got on stage and she sang, and I swear it's like I never used this term, but it was just like listen to a songbird. Like just I was like I could listen to that voice all day, and she's so down to earth and so nice because we're on the same boat. Um, and we were talking about so she did Paul Heaton and I don't know if Hamish did anything, and I did Simply Red, and just we're all so grateful and excited to be getting these opportunities. Like to play with Simply Red, are you joking me? um I mean that was another gig where I was kicking myself the entire day, but working alongside people who are breaking through and are in the same boat as me, it's good to have relationships like that, but also I'm just honoured anytime I get to be associated with them. So thank you for putting me in the same category as them.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely going the same way, and that's probably how when you look about and you see people in the same kind of situation as you and what they're doing, and it shows you that you can do it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, with Rianne, I mean, I've been arguing with folk on Facebook all weekend about Rianne.
Why?
On these Paul Heatons, you see it on the Paul Heaton pages on Facebook. Nobody likes her. They give her
Why?
a hard time, and they give her a hard time because she's no Jackie Abbott. Everybody wants Jackie Abbott, but that lassie's ill or whatever. So it's like people just don't want Rihanna. So I've been arguing all weekend about it because she's an
As you
incredible talent, and the
as
thing
as
is,
you
she's doing
should.
her own stuff as well.
Oh yeah. I I that I'll never understand stuff like that. Like you can enjoy an artist, right? And if something changes, you don't have to be so. I don't want to say the word elitist because maybe that's too harsh a word, but it makes no sense to go after the person who is taking someone's place for the time being, especially when it's someone like Rianne who is genuinely very talented, really
Yeah.
nice, and is probably just excited to be doing it. Like, so you argue away.
Well, that's just it. Well, that's what I've been saying. See if Paul Heaton seen these comments. Paul Heaton would laugh as he did it.
Aye,
Um,
absolutely.
but I mean, so I went to see Paul Heaton last year, and Jackie had just kind of left then, and
Hmm.
it was before they had Rihanna in. So at that gig at the Hydro, they just kind of the rest of the band took up singing duties. But it'll be nice to see them this year with Rihanna singing. But an incredible talent. I can mind seeing her duetting with Dylan John Thomas years back. So she's been
Hmm.
talented for a young age.
Oh, aye.
obviously, like back to yourself. So you were doing like a lot of support in festivals and stuff like that, and then towards the end of 2022, you ended up doing your own tour. Initially Scottish tour, which all sold out, and then you added English dates as well. So what was that like? Kind of seeing all these dates kind of selling out and going down to England. How did that feel?
When Edinburgh sold out in a matter of hours, I thought, sorry, not Edinburgh, when King Tut's, well, actually Edinburgh as well, but when King Tut's sold out in a matter of hours, I remember feeling like I wanted to cry because that was, as I said, the first stage that I was on in a big capacity as like Nati for the first time, thanks to Tidelines. So to come full circle and go back and to sell out that venue, oh, it's stuff dreams are made of. Like I never thought in a million years that me, wee Dafty for the East Coast, would have folk buying tickets to come and see her. So the fact that it sold out so quickly, sold out at all, but sold out so quickly, was an incredibly overwhelming feeling that I can't really put words to, which is shocking because I put things into words for a living. Um, but so then we had like Edinburgh, Stirling, Aberdeen, I think, and they all sold out. And I just remember like being backstage and seeing folk queuing up outside Aberdeen. There was this huge queue at the door for folk coming in. And my manager was like, who's like the strongest woman in the world. I just saw her like welling up. And I was like, what's wrong with you? And she's like, I've just seen the outside Nat, like they're all waiting for you. And that was when it hit me. I was like, oh Christ, I'm no introducing myself to these folk for the first time like I would be as a support act. They're coming to see, they've paid money to see me. And then of course the stress sets in. I'm like, oh God, is the show good enough? Do you think it's worth the money? Oh no, I've bossed this up, haven't I? And you know, it was very, very overwhelming. And then to go down to England as well and have people respond so well, I know, like I just even to this day, right? And I've been doing it best part of 4 years. I can't believe it's happening. Any opportunity I get, I'm like, are you sure?
Yeah,
Cheers.
yeah, it's happening. It's definitely happening. Don't worry about that. I seen as well towards the end of the year as well. That year you started a Patreon, which I've no yet been on. I've not had a look yet. But um, what was the reason behind that? Because I've seen lately there are quite a few musicians have gone down that route. Declan Welsh has done it recently, and another Mark Sharp for Mark Sharp and the Bicycle Thieves. I think he's announced a Patreon as well. So, what was the reason behind that?
So if we have stuff that we are not allowed to show people yet, so if we've got demos of new songs, or if we've got pictures for new covers of songs, or behind the scenes, or how did the behind the scenes of how I wrote this song, or wee backstage video diaries of festival season or on backstage on tour, wee bits of information that you feel could be suited to people who really, really want to see it, especially the music. If you're like, do you guys want to hear a demo of a song that's not out yet? And nobody's like, aye. So you could maybe know that enthusiastically. Maybe that's just me, but it's an opportunity to give something back to folk. And obviously Patreon puts it behind a paywall. And I mean, there's no black and white way to say this, but if you're an independent artist, you need to do what you need to do. Do you know what I mean? And so we've not got big labels chucking money at us. Do you know what I mean? But it's something like I think people charge astronomical amounts for stuff, and as they should, I suppose. But mine's is only, I think it's £8 a month, and with that you get live streams, you get demos that you've never heard, you get behind the scenes videos, you get 10% discounts on the merch website. So I was very nervous about doing it because I was like, if I'm having folk pay £8 a month, I want to make sure I'm giving them something back tenfold.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I did. So there's loads of stuff on there. There's step by steps on how I wrote songs that are out to this day. There's behind the scenes, there's funny bits, there's interviews with like the band and my manager and stuff like that. Just be sort of bits that the world wouldn't necessarily see. But I think it's really important, especially if you're an independent artist. You need to do something to keep you ticking over. And if people have an interest in supporting you, they get something out of it as well. So I think that's why a lot of artists are doing it. I know that Orla Gartland does it as well. And I don't know, it's the best thing for especially musicians.
Yeah, it's just. I mean, I just look at you, so and I think I can't pay every one of these Patreons. Man, like there's so many of them going about. But there's some brilliant content. I was on Declan Welsh's for quite a bit, and if anything with Declan Welsh, he had too much content. You couldn't I couldn't get through it all quick enough.
Mm-hmm.
He was putting out like 2 hour podcasts every day as well.
Jeez, oh.
So there's so much of it, and it's definitely something like that connects with the fans. And if you get it right, then you keep the fans forever.
Absolutely.
Obviously, then into 2023, I've missed out on like single releases and all that because you have just been so busy. But you've been releasing music throughout that time as well. 2023, you did your St. Luke's show. You did more festivals again, culminating in probably the biggest Scottish festival, Transmit. So, what was that like playing Transmit? Because that's kind of different level to the festivals you've been playing before.
I have no memory of it because I think I blacked out due to nervousness. I remember the build up to it. So the build up was there was a song coming out the same day that was playing Transmit. I think it was Stay that was coming out from the older EP.
Mm.
And so you're building up and you're promoting this and you're doing that and you're talking about Transmit, and then all of a sudden you're on a couch at the BBC with these very beautiful women with really nice makeup on, and they're kind of sat like this. So then when you sit down to go on live television, you then feel compelled to sort of sit like this, right? Uh, and I'm trying to like mind my P's and Q's and saying yes instead of I. And there was all this stuff leading up to it. And then it got to the show and it was just like a blur because of all the not pressure, I suppose pressure that I put on myself because Transmit is a sort of Scottish rite of passage. I barely remember the actual show itself. I remember the build up and I remember feeling great afterwards. But the actual show, I just kind of got off stage and I was like, did we win? And everyone was like, yeah, that was brilliant. And I was like, all right. But it was an honour. Like the fact that they even asked me, I was like, wow, okay, we need to make this show massive. So we had 2 extra people on stage, more instruments. We had a big fancy Gretsch guitar. We were all decked out in Lucy and Yak dungarees. We all coordinated outfits. I was like, this needs to look and sound professional. And I think we pulled that off. But to be invited to Transmit, like, I'm like, I worked in a phone shop a couple of years ago. How am I here?
Yeah, you must be like that constantly, man. Just thinking how it's progressed so quickly. To be sitting like, so were you? Edith Bowman said some nice stuff about you. Did she interview you?
She didn't interview me, no, but she did speak about me before I came on, and I think she watched. I got to see her and like like waved to her, but she was really, really, really busy, and I was in another tent. But she's so nice. I remember she was wearing a cool pink frock and boots, and I was like, she looks like the Barbie I always wanted.
I can mind, like in my 20s, like I had the biggest crush on Edith Bowman, and I've tried to get her on the podcast a million times, and she keeps blocking me. So she must know that I'm like a mad stalker or something.
We're just gonna have to keep pestering her, like, hey, you. See everybody that you've ever who was it, Lucy Barrett you had last time? Everybody that you've had, right? Just be like, right, everybody go and pester her.
Yeah, that's really nice that you bring up old guests. You've obviously been doing your research on the podcast.
Well, yeah, I love podcasts. I'm an absolute sucker for a podcast. So when my manager was like, hey, you've been asked to do this, and she sent me a link, I was like, bro. And then that was my night when I was tidying and everything. I just listened to loads of them.
Brilliant. But I've been trying to get Lucy to get her brother on the podcast, but I'm
I was
not
going
getting
to
any
say,
headway with that. We'll see how it goes. I've got a hold of the manager now, so I might get done that. But
hey,
so then another tour then in 2023 as well, just as if kind of that's just what you do. Just I'll go on another UK tour. So how
that
was
was
it?
my
How
favourite.
was it the second time? Did you kind of get a bigger reaction because they'd already seen you?
Yeah, there was a load of a load of repeat offenders. But I loved that tour. Like the first tour is always going to be special because it's the first one and it's just me in jeans and a jumper with fuzzy hair going, well, I hope he's like this, on my right? And then this next time around, it was just tighter. Like I had tartan trousers on and a blazer. I looked dead smart. I had wee pleats on the side of my hair. I had this big, gorgeous new electric guitar. I had a bigger sound, more new songs to let people listen to. The tracks were beefier. The whole show as a whole was just bigger, louder, and tighter. And I had so much more fun because I was able to relax a wee bit more because I'd had a couple of live shows under my belt by then, and I was just buzzing every single. There was none of this like, oh dear, oh no. Every single night before I went on stage, I was like, let's go into these folks. Let's 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 give them a show. Do you know what I mean? There's a there's a there's a part in my show right where I was like, oh, I better advertise the merch, because that's how you keep your lights on as an independent artist is through touring and merch and that. I was like, right, well, we need to do a segment on stage where we talk about it. And so I'm dead honest. I'm like, here's your merch, get it. It's only a tenner for a CD. Go and buy it, you cheap bastard, so I can keep my flat. Just usual stuff, right? And then we turned it into this actual funny segment where Ben and Kieran, our bassist and drummer, start playing like sexy music, like boom, bam, bam, and I like do the advertisement of like the sexy merch song. So there was just so much different because I was more comfortable. But I loved it. Absolutely loved it. I love touring now that I kind of know what to expect.
And then towards the end of the year, as if you've not done enough, like, I just finished half the year playing the Hydro.
Aye, that was oh god. Do you know I almost forgot about it, right? Because we were in tour mode and we had like the key session, everything as well. It was building up to all that. And you're in tour mode, so you're in the zone and you're ready to perform. And then I just remembered one day I had a day off and I was like, oh, what's next? And the boys in the band were like, oh, it's the Hydro. I was like, oh, the Hydro. So I was pushing myself. And then you get there, of course, and I've been a punter of the Hydro many a times, right? So I've seen it from an audience perspective. See, when you walk out through the stage door and you see it from the stage, I mean, the first thing you do is take a giant gulp and try and slap the colour back into your face. But you're like, this is gonna be full, and there's gonna be cameras and that. And Julie Fowlis was there, right? I love Julie Fowlis, and she's one of my favourites. And as you can probably tell, Martin, I'm very shy and demure, and
Yeah.
I was genuinely too shy to say hello to her, and my partner had to literally kick my arse and say, "Would you go and say hello and get a photo with her?" The Hydro, like, I still look at photos and I'm like, we played the we. There's times where I'm in a really good mood and I'll be like, yeah, we played the Hydro. Look at us go. And then there's other times where I'm like, we played the Hydro. How?
In terms of that, like kind of the traditional Scottish music, and playing the Hydro, and then early the following year you played Celtic Connections. So what kind of is the biggest achievement out of the two, or can you compare them?
Um, so the Hydro was fantastic because one, it was the Hydro. Two, it was Hoolie at the Hydro. So to be asked to represent Scottish artists in Scotland in that way is always going to be an honour. And as my bio says, painfully Scottish. So that was a huge honour. I got to see and meet people who I never thought I'd get to see and meet. I got to sing on stage with loads of incredible people, and I got to showcase to loads of other Scottish people and fans of Scottish artists. I got to showcase what me and my band did. I got the privilege of going on stage and saying, this is who I am, this is my music, I hope you like it, cheery bye. That was amazing. And then Celtic Connections, I'll be really honest with you, right? Kind of Celtic Connections is a festival, right? So loads of folk are playing at all the different venues and that, right? Because it was a festival, I forgot, because in January I went on holiday for the first time, because that's kind of the only time the music in a big holiday. So I did my big one. I came back and I was like, oh, Celtic Connections. Who else is playing that? And I was like, they're like, it's Natalie, it's a headline show. And I was like, eh? I'd forgotten that, like, even though it's a festival, this was my headline show. So the hydro was beautiful and lovely and all the things I just said. But I'm going to have to put Celtic Connections on I can't pick a better one. I'm going to have to put it on the same level, because in that moment I realised we're doing Celtic Connections and all of these people came to see me, because as incredible and as a dream come true as the hydro was, they were just there to see everybody. And then Celtic Connections, they were there to see me. So both of them, I can't choose. They were both incredible. And what a way to end and start a year.
Yeah, massive. And then I certainly played Loch Goyle. The reason I bring this up, because I think it was me that started the music in Loch Goyle. Me and my pals went up there. My wee boy's 17, so it's before he was born. So say 18, 19 years ago, we went up for a weekend, a Crowders. Obviously I was in my early 20s. We drove up there on the Friday, and I think we were drinking all the way up. I was dressed like a proper rock star, like something out of Franz Ferdinand or something. I had a tank top with a shirt and a tie and a denim jacket and all that. And people were asking what we were doing. I said, oh, we're a band. We're up here, we're going to play a gig. Now, not one of us plays a musical instrument, but we carried this on the full weekend that we were a band and we were God hated, and we'd supported the Libertines and we'd supported Morrissey and all this. And then obviously nothing happened there. Obviously we never played the gig because we were too, I'd lost my voice, so I couldn't sing. But obviously like 6-7 years later, they started doing gigs up there. And I thought, this must have came for my band. Obviously we've kick-started the gig scene up there. And that's how you've been able to kind of play there, and it's kind of progressed your career because of myself.
Maybe that's what I've done this whole time. I've been like, oh, I'm a singer. You probably never heard of me. Nati, formerly known as Nati Dread. I've done all the big shows. I've supported Lady Gaga. Kings of Leon. I supported Elvis Presley, which I know is hard to believe because he's been dead about 100 years, but I did, honestly. Maybe that's what I've been doing. I've just been slowly just trying to convince folk that I am a musician, and it's just happened.
And the thing that makes it so big for myself is I did it with TikTok. We didn't have TikTok back then, so but I kind of battered in the door for people like yourself to perform at Loch Goyle Head. A cracking place to perform, I reckon.
And we appreciate that so much, because that was my first time there. And not only is it beautiful to just be there, because it's a beautiful, beautiful place, but me and my tour manager got there and everyone was really nice. Everyone was really excited. Everybody knew who I was, which was weird. Like, I went backstage, the bands are like, oh, Natty. And I'm like, how do you know who I am? Who you been talking to? So it was just such a beautiful wee experience. And Conor Fife was there, who I adore. And then all the crowd was really up for it as well, because by the time I was on, I'd had a couple of orange juices, if you know what I'm saying. So they were like right up for it. And then even the neighbours weren't asked, because they just got free music. So they're just sitting out. They're sitting out in their garden's just watching us, and you're going over and you're like, excuse me, they've run out of red sauce. Have you got some red sauce for my chips, please? Like, it's just really nice. But aye, cheers for that. Like, I'm going to start doing that now as well. I'm just going to boot every door off its hinges and go, hello, do you know who I am? And see where it gets me.
So, throughout the year as well, you supported the Longest Johns and St Phoenix, and obviously you mentioned off mic before we started, you're just fresh off the back of supporting the Water Boys in Glasgow. So, what's other than the new single, which we'll talk about, what else have you got planned for the rest of the year?
What have I no get planned? No, I've got we're bringing out an EP called Golden, and we're going to release the tracks bit by bit throughout the year and throughout the start of next year as well, because we started it a little bit later than we did last year. We did it on purpose, and we are going to release them. We're still in the middle of festival season, so I'm always busy, and then we're going to take it from there. See if anybody wants to listen, see if anybody wants to put it on the radio. Like, this year was all just about getting new music out and seeing where it took us. And we spent so long. I mean, you can yourself. It doesn't take 3 days to make a track. Like, you've got to write it, you've got to finalise it, you've got to record it, put the embellishments on, put the vocals on, put the backing tracks on, put the instruments on, and then you got to mix it and master it and put it through a system. It's a long, lengthy, sometimes painful process, but I wouldn't do it any other way, because we worked so hard and for so long and really put our blood, sweat and tears into this EP, all the way down to the colour scheme of the bloody artwork. Like, I went back to 4th year art school and I was like, okay, what is the colour scheme? What is the story? I hadn't a clue what I was talking about, but I thought I did. So that is the plan. The plan is to just release new music and hope that everybody likes it. And obviously we've got some shows coming. We've got some headline shows under our belt. And coming off of the tour with the Longest Johns, I got to showcase some of the new songs that are going to be coming out. Mm-hmm. And they were received very well. But I could see if you had an extra 3 hours, I could talk about the Longest Johns I could talk about them for days, like what they did for me in that tour and how they sort of changed a lot of perspectives and things for me. They're just one of a kind. I have a lot of love for those boys and their team. But I got to showcase some of the new tunes and people liked them. So I'm buzzing to actually release them properly, because they're big and loud and juicy and obnoxious, and I'm so excited.
So the first single, Heard It All Before, is out a week on Friday, 12th of July.
Yep.
And then what are we talking, maybe like every couple of months or something, a new single until this EP is complete. So everybody will be checking you out, because they're going to listen to this podcast, and then you're going to notice your Spotify figures will go through the roof after it.
Hey!
But it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you. I've heard the new song and it sounds amazing. It does.
Have you actually heard
it? I got sent it for your PR. So I
didn't know that you got to listen to it without spoiling anything. Is it good? Is it shite? What is it?
Oh, it's definite thumbs up. It's kind of, it's a lot more rockier as well, which you can see kind of through this 4 years how you've grown and you've kind of got bigger and progressed. It's definitely.
My mammy says that. My mammy was like, I let my mum listen to it, and she said, it's a lot bigger and louder, but it suits your voice because your voice is big and loud. I don't know why I'm making her sound like she's in her 80s, but she's going to kill me. But she said the same thing. She's like, the progression is like where you want to be. So cheers for that, mate. I appreciate that. I didn't realise you'd heard it.
Like, see, like, listening to you on this podcast and watching all your Instagrams and all that, how positive you are. And that's why you're where you are as well, because of the positivity, and you you've never put a backward step in the last 4 years.
Stop it! You're going to make great. You're going to make great.
So we'll go into the heroes then. The last bit of the podcast, I asked my guests to pick 4 heroes to come for dinner. Why they're your heroes and what would you cook for them? So, I'm really looking forward to hearing who you chose here.
Didn't say that. That's pressure. Right. The first one, I feel like is obvious. It's going to be Newton Faulkner because he is genuinely one of my heroes, right? So he's coming to my house. I'll make it all tidy. I'll use that shaking vac, give it a good hoover, get the special disinfectant so everybody thinks my house smells nice all the time. Empty the bin and all that. So Newton Faulkner's coming first. Then, I don't know if this is cliche and I don't know if it's allowed necessarily, but the second one is going to be my granny. My dream guitar that I bought, which is a Taylor, way back years ago. I called it Catherine after her. So she's coming because she's an absolute riot, and I get my calm, shy, demure sense of self from her.
Yeah, I'll bet.
The third one, who was the third one? I had a smashing third one, and it's buggered off in my head because the fourth one was a bit of a surprise. Newton Faulkner, my gran, Billy Connolly, of course. Billy Connolly. Class. Of course, the big one is absolutely coming for his tea at my house. And he better not complain about it because he's the reason that I'm comfortable speaking to an audience. So he's a hero. He's my hero in the sense that didn't take it too seriously. So Newton Faulkner's my musical hero. Billy Connolly is my stage hero and not taking things too seriously. My gran is my hero in many obvious senses. And the final one, you're not ready. Are you ready? The final one is none other than Buzz Lightyear. Now, let me explain. Let me explain. They just laugh at me, right? Let me explain. When I was a wee lassie, right, weirder than I am now, believe it or not, I loved Toy Story and Buzz Lightyear was my favourite. I had the jammies, I had the toys, I put the fish bowl on my head. I broke my mum and dad's hi-fi because I switched it on and off because I was Contact and Star Command. And my mum has this vivid memory of me being, oh God, I don't know how old, but all the bairns are going, I want to be a vet and I want to be a princess and I want to be a fireman. And I was like, I want to be Buzz Lightyear. So the Space Ranger himself will be coming for his tea. And what did I cook them? Right. We're going to start with sugar and shite. No, I'm joking. We're going to start with we're going to start with something dead posh, right? We're going to start with a prawn cocktail, right? Because I only have it at Christmas and it makes me feel dead posh.
But
like I'm about to...
See, when you say posh, so I've made prawn cocktails before, like back in, or like my mom used to do it, and it always was prawns with tomato sauce and mayonnaise mixed together.
That's exactly
is that how we're doing it?
But you know how, like, when you arrange it on a wee glass, you feel like you've moved up a tax bracket a wee bit. So we're going to start with prawn cocktail, right? Because I need them to think that I'm at least a wee bit civilised, right? And know some Egypt for a fishing village. And then, no, I had reservations about this because do you want fish after fish? And I've decided it's my house, so I a day want fish after fish. I was going to do a sausage casserole, but that takes about 3 years to do in a slow cooker. So we're doing salmon, right? We're getting salmon. I do kind of Buzz Lightyear eats fish, but in my brain he eats fish. In my brain, Buzz Lightyear would absolutely murder a chippy. So
they'd be in dehydrated packets, so but they'd be in that format. But it would still eat.
I just push the button, his helmet comes off, and I just put the plate there. So we're getting salmon, and I do a mean salmon with like salt, pepper, lemon, garlic on a bed of what's that vegetable called that makes your pee smell funny?
Broccoli. It's no broccoli. Asparagus.
No, that's it. On a bed because it's posh. On a bed of asparagus, right? With potato dolphin knees, whatever it's cried.
I tried to say that a couple of weeks ago and I got it wrong. It's no,
So
that's no a word for a Scottish person.
no, so basically the totty shite, that stuff, and then a bunch of steamed veg with like bits of garlic in it. That's going to be our main, right? So fish, tatties, veg, and then a wee corn on the cob on the side. Homegrown, wholesome, lovely, good source of omega-3. And then for pudding, I'll be honest, it's anybody's game. Do you want a packet of Wotsits? Do you want a penguin? Do you want sticky toffee pudding? Do you want trifle? I could do a trifle. I came with I've changed my mind. I'm doing a trifle, but without the Victoria sponge fingers, because I just want to eat them out the packet.
I like the idea prawn cocktail, salmon, and then a packet of Wotsits.
or a packet of prawn cocktail crisps. Just fish on the way through. But that's my heroes and that's my tea. Would you eat my tea? Does it sound good?
Aye, it sounds like a proper Scottish dinner. You know, I'm no fucking about, and then we'll just get a carrot or something after it.
Aye, the sparzle, we'll get some cans and then that'll be that.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. But this has been really enjoyable speaking to you. I don't know if it's kind of because you're mad mental Scottish. It just feels brilliant having like a mad Scottish voice on the podcast.
Oh, it's great, isn't it?
But an absolute pleasure speaking to you. I'll post links to all your stuff, your Spotify and all that. If everybody can go and stream or buy, heard it all before when it comes out, 12th of July. But for coming on the day, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much.
It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you, mate. Thank you so much for having me.
Brilliant. Thank you. I hope you all enjoyed this episode of Time for Heroes podcast. If you would like to get in touch, the best way is on the Facebook page, Time for Heroes podcast, or on Instagram at Time for Heroes podcast, or Twitter at Time for Heroes P1, or drop me an email at timeforheroespod@gmail.com. You'll find Time for Heroes on all podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple, Google and Amazon. Please leave a review where you can, share with others, and more importantly, enjoy.